Hello everyone and welcome to Sunburned Albino Dissects all the negative comments he received in response to his Bloodborne boss ranking video. If you haven't seen it, I rank all the bosses in Bloodborne from easiest to hardest, and lots of gamers were quick to vehemently disagree. It's my most popular video by a clear 1,000 miles, and I'm thankful that so many people have briefly incorporated my whims into their lives. Most YouTubers avoid the dark side of comment feeds. They either delete mean comments, block people from commenting at all, or just pretend the internet is a nice place where smiles planted in soil grow into warm kindness trees. Not this guy. Sunburned Albino patrols the Shadow Realm in a bulletproof vest and shines his flashlight on every blighted entity that hurls itself at him. I don't mind insults. I don't care about criticism, and I sure don't give a shit about drivel. In this specific case, I welcome it wholeheartedly, because by making this video, I'm going to turn all your hate speech and offense-driven backlash into cold, hard, small amount of cash. I'm also going to address some of the more civil and acceptable disagreements you have with my content. Let's start with a recent one. Revs8bit wrote, "Wow dude, could you be more of a sexist bigot? I would consider a nurse to be far more successful than some pre-6K subs YouTuber. Get over yourself." This was in response to a joke I made about Murgo's wet nurse, and how men can be nurses too, they just prefer to be successful. By the way, a lot of people commented that men can't be wet nurses because of the breastfeeding mechanic, but I think those people are sexist bigots who didn't drink enough sour milk as a child. To answer your question of whether I could be more of a sexist bigot, given how tame as hell my joke was, I'd say I could. I mean, if I really put my mind to it. Also, calling me a sexist bigot is like calling me a racist Mexican hater. It's redundant, but at least you succeeded in wasting my time for a second. Tom Franklin writes, "Why are the gameplay graphics shit?" That's actually totally fair criticism, in the form of probably not even an antagonistic question, because I made that video before I figured out my recording settings weren't automatically set to HD. I'm kind of mad thinking about how many graphics snobs saw that video and didn't subscribe because they don't think any of my videos are HD. An assumption which would be compounded by the fact that my subsequent Bloodborne playthrough isn't high def till like 15 episodes in. God damn it. John Giver writes, "Mikolosh hands down easiest boss in game. This video is so tough to watch, seeing a horrible player act like he's good at Souls games, yet uses exploits, cheeses, and online walkthrough tutorials on how to find secrets and bosses. Platinumed in 2 weeks after release, and only died to Rom my first playground. Game was completed at level 56 with 4 HR 37 min in game time. Sorry the game is tough for you, but you shouldn't be raiding bosses if you have to exploit to kill them. Didn't even know Mikolosh had an exploit, because he's just so easy normally." I'm not horrible, as evidenced by my ability to compile the footage for this video in one day for a total of 13 hours of Playground. Not no 4 hours and 37 minutes of Playground like some original gangsters I've heard of, but not horrible. B, it's not a tutorial if I literally just need to know that yes, the game expects me to jump off a cliff into the ocean on a hunch. C, nobody can't beat Mikolosh without an exploit. It's just fun to watch him slowly suffer and die from a high perch. Also, he is objectively not the easiest boss. You can't just say he is to over-argue your point. Go back to speedrunning Bloodborne with your shirt off and your wallet open on your coffee table for no reason. Trust me, I know. Next. Adlin Raid writes, "You deserve to be rich and famous, my man." Hey, fuck you! Night Elf writes, "Why are you explaining the battles? Anyone can do it over time. You're not that great. And you try to down Dark Souls 2 by saying it's easy because shields? Beat the game shieldless on Dark Souls like Bloodborne then, buddy." These are the only kinds of comments that I'll consider deleting. If they're fucking incoherent, for one, and two, based in complete misinformation, then I worry that someone without context will read it and assume that it's true. Why am I explaining the battles? Why am I making this video? Why am I playing this game? I never said Dark Souls 2 was easy because shields. It's easy because it's easy, at least compared to Bloodborne. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt because you're 8, but your YouTube comments shouldn't read like drunk texts when you're 13 years behind the legal consumption age. Justice Ward writes, "Your voice makes me want to kill myself." Well, if you happen to click on this video by accident, I hope that by now a noose is firmly taut around your neck and you're about to lose your balance. Vladimir Polakov writes, "Very unpleasant voice, even awful, I'd say. I'm sorry, but I just cannot accept that from a Russian whose country's entire dialect is based in slurs and fag-hating." Sam Nelson writes, "You have a very rich, snobby voice." I'm sensing a pattern. But this comment doesn't actually criticize my voice, just associates it with an attitude that isn't far off, honestly. I've had a rich person mentality my whole life, and I've never been rich. But my dad's grandfather actually invented the child safety lock. You know that thing that's been used in every car for 55 years? But he didn't have the money to patent it, so the idea was stolen by Ford. We were meant to be rolling in it. If we had even $1 for every child safety lock manufactured, we'd be billionaires. So if my voice comes off as entitled or snobby, it's because my bank account doesn't, and our family's been jilted, and fuck me. Otterloop B writes, the humor loses its engagement with all the cursing and using God's name in vain. Not to sound preachy, but the use of God's name is always in vain. Sorry about the cursing. I knew I should have run it by my retainer nuns. That's about the size of it as far as insults and negativity goes. Different variations of the above. Real quick, I'd like to respond to general ideas and opinions the public has in the comment feed that show up several times. Yes, I actually think ROM is the hardest. What else you have to understand, especially as people continue to currently watch my video, is there have been a few nerfs and gains to bosses since I uploaded it, but I have no experience playing against those nerfs, because I haven't touched Bloodborne since about that time. I've been told that ROM was nerfed and that his meteor attack isn't as bullshit. I know Darkbeast Paul got a lot more formidable, and some other bosses were changed too. My video accounts for none of that, so don't judge based on that stuff. Yes, ROM is a she. A fact I knew while making that video, but I still referred to it as a he out of habit because it's less effort. The Blood Administration Doctor is not Gearman, I know now, so thanks for that. I'm willing to concede somewhat on the Blood-Starved Beast's difficulty because I am typically over-leveled when I face him, but his attacks remain easy to dodge. It's just the poison that's annoying and mildly devastating. Lots of people's arguments as to why Father Gascoigne is easy revolved around exploiting his pathfinding AI, so I disregard those. My ranking of the bosses does indeed obviously reflect the conclusions of a specific playstyle you may or may not share, thus it is natural for you to have different experiences. Just don't be so testy about it. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe at your leisure, or leisure, as they say around Big Ben, and I'll see you guys next time.